I can see that, Carlo. That creature is enormous. Do you know what the Oh, hi everybody. Carlo and I were just sharing one of his favourite stories. It's called The Big Book of Animals. And he was telling me all the things he knows about. Well, today he was talking about sea creatures. But we'll leave that for now, Carlo, because we've got some really important learning to do. Thank you for bringing that along. Do you remember yesterday we helped Carlo to create a zoo? Can you remember Carlo's really important rule about that zoo? It had something to do with this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's right, the number 5. He said in his zoo you could have no more than 5 creatures in each enclosure. I was chatting to Carlo earlier and I wondered why he made that rule. And he said because all the reading tells him that creatures don't like being kept in tiny cages or crowded enclosures. So he thinks 5 is kind of a magical number. It gives every creature enough room to play, to roam, to feed and to sleep. So yesterday we sent Carlo home with a task. He was going to make a zoo with no more than 5 creatures in each enclosure. And the other thing he was going to do was he was going to have a go at making a map so that anyone who visited that zoo would know exactly where to go and they would know exactly how many creatures were in that enclosure and how he had sorted them. So that was a big task. We talked about this yesterday and we talked about it with you and we said it was way too complicated to draw all those animals. So can you remember what we did? We used a digital device to take some photos. Carlo's digital device is right down the bottom of his bag. He's got so many things in here again today. And we used the camera on Carlo's digital device and we took 2 different shots. I wonder if you can remember what they were. I want to ask Carlo. He's right. We held the iPad up high and we took a bird's eye view of each of the 4 enclosures. Then we decided that was a good way to help us know how many creatures were in each enclosure. But remember, Carlo, it didn't show people how you sorted them. So we decided to do something different. We took another image and this time we went down and we took a side view and we took a photo of each of the enclosures. I had a job to do when you left and that was to email those photos to Carlo's family. Yesterday afternoon, Carlo was so excited. I got a knock on the door and he said, "Jo, can you come and have a look? I really want you to test out my map of my zoo." So I went out my garden gate and outside was Carlo's whole family and all the creatures he'd used yesterday in the design of his zoo. Up on the wall, he'd created a map for me and he said, "Can you give it a go? Can you test it out and see if it works?" So you can see his family's helped him print the photos out. He's put all the creatures with 6 legs in one enclosure, all the creatures with 4 legs in one enclosure, all the creatures with 2 legs in another enclosure, and what was this one? That's right, the creatures with no legs. Do you think this map was helpful? I can tell you, it really helped me because I followed it. I went up this side of Carlo's path and I stopped at the first enclosure. You see, he laid the animals out on the veranda for me. And before I even got there, I knew I was going to find 4 creatures, and I knew I was at the enclosure of the creatures that had 6 legs. His map was right. I left that enclosure and I went all the way up his path, and I thought what I should be seeing was all the creatures with 4 legs, and I knew in this enclosure there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures. And guess what? Carla was right. I turned around the path and went to the other side, and I had a look at my map, and it said, in this enclosure you should find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures, and you should be able to see creatures that have 1, 2 legs. And guess what, Carlo? You were right again. My final trip was down the path, and you're right, the very last enclosure, and it was in this enclosure I was thinking I would find 1, 2, 3, 4 creatures. I was thinking I would find 4 creatures, but I was a little bit confused because Carlo had 2 photos. He had 1, 2, 3, 4 creatures that were spread around the outside, and then he had a photo of those creatures facing a different direction. So I thought I'd better check and make sure there were still 4 there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, we took a photo on the side to be able to show how we had sorted those creatures, and we knew these creatures were the creatures with no legs. So guess what? When I got to the end, Carlo, his family, and I had a great big smile because Carlo had created the most amazing map of his zoo. Do you know, Carlo, there's actually only one thing missing from this map. I don't know what sort of zoo this is. And if you want other people to come and visit your zoo, how will they know what type of zoo it is? I'm going to ask Carlo if he can think of a name for his zoo. Can you have a think about that while I'm chatting to him? What are you thinking? That's an interesting name for a zoo. Are you ready? Can I put it on the top? Here's a title for this map. Carlo wants to call his zoo No More Than... can you guess what goes there? It's a number. You're right. It's the No More Than 5 zoo. You've done a fantastic job of designing, counting, sorting, and mapping that zoo. Well done, Carlo. So that was yesterday's work, Carlo. I wonder what you've got planned for us today. He's brought along his communication book. This always helps us know what lesson we're up to. Top of Carlo's book says Day 7. So this is the 7th time we've met together. And it's not a very long note today. It just says, Dear children. Last night we were reading a book with Carlo. It was called The Big Book of Animals. Carlo noticed these animals were sorted in many different ways. This gave Carlo a new idea. Today he said, can the children help me create a A must-have 5 zoo. And he wants you to help him to sort. We're going to sort today according to where the animals live. So Carla's going to give us a little bit of a direction there. He's brought along paper for 4 different environments. So all the creatures that live in the soil are going to go in one enclosure. Well, all the creatures that live in the jungle are going in another enclosure. All the farm animals are going to go together, and I think you can probably guess by the colour of this one what environment this is. It's the water environment. So, I'm guessing in that backpack is another bundle of animals. Let's have a look. Very heavy today, Carlo. We might need to move your communication book and your big book out the way today. Let's see what you've bought for us today. I'm not sure how many. I'm grabbing big handfuls out of Carlo's bag. It's the 3rd big handful. The 4th big handful. And the last big handful of animals. Goodness me, Carlo, that must almost be your whole collection. One down the bottom that I couldn't see because it's camouflaged. All right. I think he's helped us a little bit. He's given us a clue. On each piece of paper, there are, we don't even need to count now. We know how many dots there are. There are 5 on this piece of paper. Same pattern. 5 on this piece of paper, 5 here, and 5 here. And Carlo's rule is we must have 5 in each enclosure. Let's see how we go. Let's do a big sort first of all. So let's put all the creatures that live in the soil down the front together. We're not going to count them, we're just going to put them in piles today. And some farm animals, horses, goat, there's another horse, and a cow. So there's another horse. A lot of farm animals, Carlo. All right, the jungle creatures. Let's pop them over here. I'm not counting, we're just sorting them into big groups. And the water creatures go at the back here. 1. Giraffe up with the jungle creatures. Water creature. Pig. Farm creature. Crab. It's a water creature. And a beautiful lioness. Belongs in the jungle. And the last one, last 2, ant goes up on the soil. And the beautiful gorilla belongs over in the jungle. Okay, this is where it gets hard. Only 5 in each enclosure. So let's use our spots to help us. Can you help me count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are exactly 5 creatures in the soil enclosure. The one at the back is the farm. So let's do the same thing, one at a time. 1, 2, oh, it's a bit wobbly, that cow. We'll lay him down. 2, 3, 4, 5. And there are 1, 2 creatures left over. We can't put them in that enclosure because we can only have 5 in each. Have a think about what we're going to do with them. Okay, the water creatures, help me. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Exactly 5 water creatures. Have a look at the jungle creatures. I don't know, I haven't counted them, but it seems to me we've got more than 5 jungle creatures. Help me again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's 2 left over. So we found out with the collection you bought today, Carlo, we have exactly 5 creatures that live in the soil. We have 5 farm animals. We have too many farm animals for this enclosure. We have exactly 5 water creatures. Have a look at the jungle. We've got 5 creatures in the jungle and we have 1, 2 left over. We have too many creatures for the jungle and we have too many creatures for the farm enclosure. So I'm guessing if we're following your rule, Carlo, we need to remove them from our play. I'll pop them down in your bag so you remember to take them home. Okay, Carlo, now we've finished taking all of our digital images. I'll make sure I send them off to your family tonight. We've got so good at knowing and understanding the number 5. Sometimes, Carlo, some of the children don't even need to count. They can just see by looking at the spots exactly how many animals are needed in those enclosures. I think those dot cards are a really good way of helping us. All right, we're going to sing one more song about the number 5, and I'm pretty sure you know this song. It's got a string, a very long string, that gets really, really wobbly when 5 very heavy creatures balance on it. Do you know the song I'm talking about? Are you ready to join in, Carlo? You're right, it's about elephants. One grey elephant balancing, step by step on a piece of string. He thought it was such a wonderful stunt that he called for another elephant. 2. 2 grey elephants balancing, step by step on a piece of string. They thought it was such a wonderful stunt that they called for another elephant. What's the next number after 2? That's right, 3. 3 grey elephants balancing, step by step on a piece of string. They thought it was such a wonderful stunt that they called for another elephant. What's the next number after 3? Did you say 4? You're right. 4 grey elephants balancing, step by step on a piece of string. They thought it was such a wonderful stunt that they called for another elephant. This is Carlo's magic number 5, but I'm a bit worried about what might happen when we put the 5th elephant on. Are you ready? 5 grey elephants balancing step by step on a piece of string. All of a sudden, oh no, the piece of string broke and down came all the elephant folk. You have a really important job to do before tomorrow. I want you to go searching for the magic number 5 around your house. You might find it on your clock. You might find it on your TV. You might find it somewhere outdoors. Do a big search, and I wonder if, like Carlo, you could make a map to help other people in your family find the magic number 5 around your house. We look forward to hearing back from you tomorrow. Thanks for being a great help to Carlo, and we look forward to seeing you then. Bye. Bye, Carlo. Bye.